How'd the rookie quarterbacks do in their NFL debuts over the weekend? And did the Saints approach finding Drew Brees' successor the right way this offseason? Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints is going to join us in a full preseason week one wrap-up. It's all coming up on this edition of the Locked On NFL podcast.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome into the show. I'm your host, Bo Brack, daily host of Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Check out our YouTube page and, of course, now Locked On NFL, the Locked On NFL podcast. We have a YouTube page. Please subscribe. Check out all our great daily content. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On Network. Follow me, pity follow, appreciate it, at Locked On. No, I don't have a Locked On handle, at BOBRACK. I'm all over the place. I'm giddy that I just watched a full weekend of NFL preseason action. Does that make me sick? Yeah, it probably makes me a little sick, but I'm gearing up for fantasy football, and you should do that as well. If you have any fantasy football questions that you need answered before your draft, don't miss Locked On Fantasy Live, Wednesday, August 18th at 9 Eastern, streaming on the Locked On NFL YouTube page. Subscribe now so you don't miss it. Our stable of fantasy experts will answer all your questions live. Submit them ahead of time at Locked On Network on Twitter. So, big show on tap for you. How'd the rookie signal callers fare in their first pro action? Who showed out? Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields. I know your boy Q and Chris Carter broke down the performance from Mac and Cheese McCorkle Jones, his Thursday performance on Friday's episode of the Locked On NFL podcast. Also, we get some insight from our guy Peter Bukowski on Jordan Love's pro debut. He didn't see any action in his first year out of Utah State as a first-round pick for the Green Bay Packers. And then, we get into that conversation about the New Orleans Saints. 6 turnovers from the Saints in their first exhibition game against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see if Ross Jackson's hovering his hand over that panic button just yet. But let's get into it. All the action from over the weekend. It actually started on Friday night. A trio of games. The Tennessee Titans took out the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams shying away from playing any of their starters, but the battle for Ryan Tannehill's backup position, it was raging the other night. Matt Barkley, a decent performance. Barkley was 5 for 8. Logan Woodside, also decent game. Both of them threw touchdown passes. We didn't see Kyle Pitts, the 4th overall pick, the tight end out of Florida, but we did see Felipe Franks, his former quarterback. He finished his college career at Arkansas, and he struggled mightily for the Falcons as Matt Ryan and the starters sat. 2 for 9, 16 yards. He did have 4 rushes for 76 yards. The Bills, they sat Josh Allen. He was a DMP. We did see Jake Fromm lead a game-winning field goal kicking drive for the Bills as they beat the Lions 16-15. The big news in that game, Jared Goff, 7 for 9 in his Lions debut, 56 yards. Penei Sewell, though, the first-round pick, allowed a sack. Fellow draft class member Gregory Rousseau. Also on Friday night, it was the Arizona Cardinals. They took out the Dallas Cowboys. Dak and Kyler Murray both did not play, but it was Matt Prater. He was going 4 for 4, including the game winner as time expired. Micah Parsons, 4 tackles in the loss. Other preseason action we had, it was the Chicago Bears taking out the Miami Dolphins. Justin Fields in relief of Andy Dalton, 14 for 20, 142 yards, 33 rush yards, 2 total touchdowns. Tua, 8 for 11 for 99 yards and a pick in that contest. The Jets, Zach Wilson, I think he settled some of the people that were doubting him by making some impressive throws in his debut, 6 for 9, 63 yards. And then also on the Giants side of things, as the Jets took out the Giants 12-7, Sandro Platzgummer, one of the European imports to the NFL, 4 carries, 51 yards, big carry in that game, big run in in that game. The Browns took out the Jags 23-13 in Trevor Lawrence's debut. Kyle Lauletta. Remember Kyle Lauletta? He went 19 for 27 in heavy duty for the Browns. 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lawrence was 6 for 9 with 71 yards. We'll get the thoughts from Tony Wiggins on Lawrence's performance. And then Patrick Mahomes in short work was 1 for 2 for the Chiefs as they took out the Niners 19-16. Mahomes just 4 yards on the day. Trey Lance, a big touchdown pass in that game. He was 5 for 14 with 128 yards in that score. Before we get into Tony Wiggins' thoughts on that, I need to tell you that BetOnline is the fastest, easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season's in full swing. You got teams vying for the postseason. You can track all that action, betonline.ag. Get all your latest news, odds, info, sporting needs for MLB and the NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, MMA. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop, your cell, and check out all of the great news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Right now, there's a great sign-up bonus. It's a welcome bonus. You head over to the website. You sign up on your phone. You can get a 50% welcome bonus. If you put in $100, you get $50 free to play around with. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, let's get into the debuts from Trevor Lawrence, from Justin Fields, from Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson. First, it was Trevor Lawrence for the Jags. Tony Wiggins from Locked On Jags and, of course, the Locked On NFL podcast gives his thoughts.
Trevor Lawrence made his debut for Jacksonville. Was not a huge night statistically, but fans were happy and elated in the stadium that he actually got the start that Urban Meyer announced yesterday right before game time. How about 6 for 9 for 71 yards? Held on the ball for a little bit too long a couple of times, took a sack or two, but made a great throw that showed you his upside, a 35-yard completion in traffic to Marvin Jones Jr. So nothing spectacular, but also nothing to take your enthusiasm away for Trevor Lawrence here in Jacksonville. 6 for 9 for 71 yards in his debut against the Cleveland Browns.
So also in that game, it was Tim Tebow making his debut at tight end. And if you haven't seen the video of him trying to make a block, it was one of the most pathetic attempts we've seen. He looked like a quarterback trying to block an oncoming defender. Not the best effort from Tim Tebow as he tries to convert from, I guess, minor league baseball player at this point to the tight end position. Before that, he was a quarterback in Urban Meyer's team. Outside of the Trevor Lawrence debut, not a whole lot of excitement. I think, as I said earlier, Zach Wilson, there were a lot of doubters, especially after his performance in a scrimmage a couple of days ago. Came out and made some really nice throws for the New York Jets. I think that maybe calmed the masses a little bit as far as Zach Wilson. I mean, he's still dealing with, the roster there in as far as gangrene's concerned. A lot of people excited about the rookie wide receiver and Elijah Moore. And Zach Wilson, I think, did what he needed to do to kind of quiet the criticism right now before the season begins. But we'll see how the rest of his preseason plays out. Trey Lance, the big touchdown pass, but 5 for 14. The big question about the North Dakota State quarterback is the accuracy. Can he be accurate on play-by-play basis to be a starting caliber NFL quarterback? I think it's good that they have the option of Jimmy G to start off Trey Lance's career as he kind of marinates a little bit in the Bay Area. I think, and it's probably the right reason for, and this is my opinion only, that Trey Lance needs a little time to kind of figure out the pro level. But like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and I'm going to throw Justin Fields into this conversation, all need to start day one. Justin Fields came in and was electric for the Chicago Bears. That was the most exciting debut of any of the rookie signal callers of the weekend. Justin Fields came out and balled out. He looked like, he looked exactly like the best quarterback for Matt Nagy's offense that was available this offseason. He found it in Justin Fields, and I think it would be an absolute mistake for them to start Andy Dalton week one. I mean, Justin Fields has got a couple games, a couple college seasons under his belt. This isn't Mr. Trubisky 2.0, where he only has 13 starts under his belt coming into the NFL, to the NFL ranks. So Justin Fields did it. The only thing I don't believe about Justin Fields is where he said that he felt like the pace of play out there was he felt like it was even kind of slow for his taste. Like, he's seen faster playing speeds than the NFL level. That's the only thing that I disagree with as far as Justin Fields. So those are your rookie debuts as far as the NFL preseason week 1 go. It's the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm your host, Bo Brack. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Locked On Network. Of course, subscribe to our new YouTube page. We are putting up great daily content, including Locked On Fantasy Live, coming Wednesday, August 18th at 9 Eastern.